Hello everyone, in this video we'll learn about important problem types and fundamental data structures. So under important problem types you're going to learn sorting, searching, string processing, graph problems and combinatorial problems. And under fundamental data structure you're going to learn linear data structure, stacks, queues, heaps, graphs, trees. Coming to sorting. Sorting is nothing but you are going to rearrange the items of a given list in ascending or descending order. So any sequence you can take and you are going to sort it. You are going to arrange it in either in a increasing or decreasing manner. Next, why it's sorting? It is always helps in searching. Okay, and algorithms often use sorting as a key subroutine. Then sorting key. A specially chosen piece of information used to guide sorting. That is, for example, if you want to sort the student records by names or by their register numbers and so on. So always sorting is done, that is the sorting of records are done based on some key. Examples for a sorting algorithms are bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, merge sort, quick sort, and all. So evaluating sorting algorithm complexity is based on the number of key comparisons. What are the two properties of any sorting? There are stability and in place. Sorting algorithm is called stable if it preserves the relative order of any two equal element in its input. And we can say that it is in place. Sorting is in place if sorting algorithm is in place if it does not require extra memory except possibly for a few memory units. So then we can say that it is in place. Next, searching. Searching is sequential searching and binary searching. Find a given value called a search key in a given set. That is what searching, and there are two kinds of searching normally used: sequential searching and binary searching. Then string processing. String processing is string is a sequence of characters from an alphabet. Then text strings can be letters, numbers, special characters. So text strings normally includes all these characters. String matching is nothing but searching for a given word or a pattern in a text. So if it is a DNA sequence, it involves the character G. Next, graph problems. Graph problems are nothing but that is, it can be a modeling of WWW, communication networks, project scheduling, all can be represented in terms of graph. Now, what is graph? What's the definition of a graph? Graph is a collection of points called vertices, some of which are connected by a line segments called edges. You can see in the figure. Examples of graph algorithms are graph traversal algorithm, shortest path algorithm, topological sorting algorithm. What is combinatorial problems? Combinatorial problems are nothing but it's related to permutation combination subset that satisfies the constraints and objectives. Let's now see the data structures for algorithms. First of all, linear data structure. Under linear data structure, you're going to learn array, linked list, stacks, queues, and then graphs. Other than linear data structure, you're going to learn the data structures you normally use for algorithms are graphs, trees, sets, and dictionary. Let's now in detail learn about linear data structure. First of all, arrays. Arrays is nothing but it's a sequence of n items that are stored contiguously in a computer memory, and normally array is accessed by a array element is accessed by its index by a index. Next, linked list. Linked list is a sequence of 0 or more elements, sequence of 0 or more nodes which containing two kinds of information. One is data and one more is a link. Link is normally pointing to either to the next node or sometimes both the next node as well as the previous node. So there are two kinds of linked list mainly you're going to learn, that is a singly linked list and doubly linked list. There are many other kinds of linked lists also there. Next, arrays. Fixed length arrays. Arrays features are, it's a fixed length and it's going to take contiguous memory location, and we can directly access the particular element, and insertion, deletion is all these kind of operation is possible. Next, coming to linked list, the feature is dynamic length. You can take it is going to take arbitrary memory location. The nodes are going to take arbitrary memory location. It is the elements are accessed by following the links. Insert, deletion, solve operations we can perform in it. Okay, coming to array, let me give an example. If this is an array 0, 1, 2, this is a contiguous memory location. Suppose if this is an integer elements, in array if you are storing integer element, first value can be present at 100, next 102 and 104. Whereas in case of linked list, if you are storing the element, first node is going to, suppose if it is single linked list, this can be the memory location can be present anywhere. This node is going to take at 100, the next node is going to take 200. Only thing that this how these two nodes are linked, that's through the address. So since the next node field, that is in the node, the next field, that is the second field, is going to contain the address of the next node. So here you can see that first 0, this data field is 1, it's so then 3 is suppose present at 300 location, then this is going to hold the 300 location and this is null. So this is how 0, 1, 3 is stored, whereas here 0, 1, 3 is stored contiguously, whereas here it is taking the arbitrary memory location, but the manner it is stored is linear in case of singly linked list. So this is an array of n elements and this is a singly linked list of n elements. This is a doubly linked list of doubly linked list of n element. How these two are different? Here you can see that each node in case of singly linked list is going to contain only one link, whereas in case of doubly linked list, each node, maybe this node or this node or this node, it's going to take two links. One is a previous link and one is a next link. Each node is going to hold two links. That's why the name double link. Next, stacks, queues and heaps. Stacks. Coming to stacks, stack is the example is stack of layers. Insertion and deletion can be done only at the top end. It can be called as LIFO or FILO. Two operations normally we perform on stacks is push and pop. What about queue? Queue of customers waiting for services. All these are the example. Insertion and deletion, that is insertion and deletion you can perform from the rear end delete end. So insertion is performed from the rear end, deletion is performed from the front end. Normally queue is called as FIFO, first in first out, whereas LIFO, what is the full form of LIFO? Last in first out. two operations normally we perform in NQ and DQ. That is insertion and deletion. What's the general application of stack? That is a recursive function to save parameters. So in case of recursive function, we are by default you are going to make use of stack. That's the main application. Heaps. Priority heaps also called as priority queues. So data structure for maintaining set of elements each associated with the key or priority with the following operation: finding the element with the highest priority, deleting the element with the highest priority, and inserting a new element. Scheduling jobs on a shared computer, it can be a example under on heap. Next we can see a graph. Graph, as I told, it contains mainly two element, vertices and edges. Okay, vertices are linked by edges. So what edge is a line segment between 2 points. So it's defined by a pair of two sets, finite set V of items called vertices and E is called edges. So we can say that G is a set of vertices and edges. So undirected, there can be two kinds of a graph normally, undirected and directed graph. What do you mean by undirected graph? The figure A represents the undirected graph and figure B represents directed graph. What's the meaning? There is no direction specified in the edge. That is undirected. This one is directed as the direction is specified in the edge. You can see here. So every edge in the directed graph must be direct, have a direction. So what's the maximum number of edges in the undirected graph with V vertices? Okay. So in case of undirected graphs, let's check. If there are 6 vertices, edges are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or there can be many more also. So let's to better understand this, let's consider a simple example. Okay, what can be the maximum number of edges? So suppose there are 4 vertices A, B, C and D. A, B, C and then D. So there is 4 edges like this and 2 edges like this. Total there are 6 edges. How did I get? 4 into 3 divided by 2. So number of vertices into number of vertices minus 1 divided by 2. So it is nothing but, you can also, if suppose number of vertices is n, then we can have n into n minus 1 divided by 2. So then we can have a graph like complete graph, dense graph and sparse graph. So graph with every pair of vertices connected by an edge is called as complete. So graph with every pair of vertices connected by an edge is called a complete graph. Next, we'll see how to represent a graph using a programming language. So two ways we can represent a graph: adjacency matrix and adjacency list. There are two ways you can represent a graph. If you want to program it or make use of the graph, then you can represent in adjacency matrix and adjacency list. So how to represent a graph in adjacency matrix, that we'll see. So first of all, you need to build a matrix for that. So how do we build? What is the order of the matrix that we are going to build? That will be based on the number of vertices. Suppose if this is a graph I'm going to consider, number of vertices here are 6. So then you need to have a 6 cross 6 matrix, and each row is labeled with each row as well as column is labeled with the nodes. So A, B, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, D, E, F. And if there is an edge between any any nodes, if there is a edge between any node, then you can represent it as 1, otherwise 0. So let's take, there is no edge between A and A, so columns are normally zeros. Then A to B, there is no edge, so 0. A to C, you can see there is edge, then you represent it as 1. A to D, there is edge, then you represent it as 1. From A, you do not have an edge to any other vertices, so 0, 0. From B also, from B only you have edge to C and F, so from B you have edge to C and F, so represent as those columns as 1, 1, those cell values as 1, 1. So rest as are 0. Similarly, you can fill the rest. Now coming to adjacency list. First of all, adjacency list is a collection of linked list, one for each vertex. A collection of linked list, one for each vertex. So you have to represent this. So each vertex is represented A, B, C, D, E, F, and there will be a linked list for each vertex. So A is linked to C and D. So represent C and D. D is linked to C and F. C and F. So this is how you can represent. Next, weighted graphs. What do you mean by weighted graphs? So graphs or diagrams with numbers assigned to the edges. Graphs or diagrams with the numbers assigned to the edges. You can see in the graph, this is a weighted graph as there is a number assigned to the edges. And weighted graph is normally represented by a weight matrix or cost matrix. Weight matrix can also be called as a cost matrix. It's similar to adjacency matrix. So it's there are 4 nodes in the, or 4 vertices in the weighted graph. So there has to be 4 cross 4 matrix, and each the row and the columns are represented by a node or a vertex. Now A to itself there is no edge, so it is infinity. Columns are normally represented as infinity, and there is a edge between A and B, and the weight of that edge is 5. A to C there is a edge, weight of that is 1. A to D there is no edge, so it is infinity. Similarly, you can represent the other rows. Okay. Now coming to adjacency list. So here first of all you need to represent all the vertices present. There are 4 vertices A, B, C, D present, and A to B there is a edge with the weight 5. Then A to C there is a edge with the weight 1. So similarly you can represent other nodes connection to other edge with the weight. Now we'll learn the graph properties. That is mainly what is path and connectivity. Path is nothing but a path from vertex U to V of a graph G is defined as a sequence of adjacent vertices that starts with U and ends with V. What is the path between U and V? That is what. So suppose if I consider this as a graph, let's assume this graph I am going to consider. So what's the path between G to H? It can be G to F to H. So in between from G to H there may be so many vertices. And path length is nothing but number of edges or the number of vertices. Number of edges or number of vertices minus 1. So that is the path length. So here from G to H the path length is 2. Then connected graphs. Graph is said to be connected if for every pair of its vertices U and V there is a path from U to V. Connected component, maximum connected subgraph of a given graph, whereas the graphs shown in the figure are not connected, because you can see that this is a subgraph, this is a subgraph which are not connected. So it's a graph that is not connected. Next, what is cycle in a graph? path of positive length that starts and ends with the same vertex. That is a cycle. So let me consider an example. A, B, C. If I start from this vertex and goes to this and B to C and again come back to the same vertex, starts and ends with the same vertex. A to B, B to C, C to A. This makes a cycle. A cyclic graph without a cycle. A, B, C. You can see here in this graph there is no cycle. That is nothing but a directed acyclic graph. Now we'll see what is tree. Tree is nothing but a tree. It is a connected acyclic graph. Then a forest, a graph that has no cycles but it is not necessarily connected. Okay, tree is nothing but a connected acyclic graph. Acyclic in the sense there has to be no cycles in it. Forest, the graph that has no cycle but it's not necessarily connected. What are the properties of a tree? Properties of tree: number of edges equal to number of vertices minus 1. So this is a tree, C and T. So there are number of vertices are 4, number of edges are 1, 2, 3. So number of edges equal to number of vertices minus 1. So we can see here this is a tree and this is a forest. What is tree? Tree is a connected acyclic graph, whereas forest need not be connected. Even a forest is an acyclic graph. You can see here, but it's not connected fully. Next, what is depth of a vertex and height of a tree? Depth of a vertex: A, B, C and T. So here, if I am to find the depth of a vertex D, this vertex, okay, if I want to find the depth of the vertex D, what is that? The depth of a root is this, depth of a root is 0. So depth of this root is 0. So this vertex is 1. So this vertex 1 and this vertex is 2. Then what is the height of a tree? You need to find the longest simple path from the root to leaf. There are only 2 leaves here. One is C and D in a tree. So root is this. From this there is one path towards this side and one path here. So length of the longest path is obviously this. So 2. So this is the longest path. This itself is the height of the tree. Next, under tree we can even get binary tree and binary search tree. Okay. So binary tree, you can see here every node you can have maximum 2 children. What is then binary search tree? Binary search tree, here if this is a root, its left child need to be lesser than the left child will have a left subtree will have a smaller value, and remember always root will have a greater element. Root will have a greater element than its left child and smaller element than the right child. So 9 here is greater than the left child, and here if you see it is smaller than the right child. Now even this portion of a subtree, if you consider, this 5 becomes a root for 1 and 7. So 1 is lesser, left child becomes lesser than the right child. So similarly, this is a binary search tree. Now, how do we represent or implement this in a linked list format? So first of all, I consider this 9. 9 is a root. Your root head always should point to the root. Root will have each node here will have two pointers. One is a left pointer and right pointer. Left pointer will be holding left child and right pointer will be holding the right child. So remember, the node, each node here is holding the three fields, that is 2 for the left child and a right child and 1 for the data. So similarly 5 is less than the root, so it will become a left child 5 and it will have a left pointer to a left child as well as a right child. Similarly 12 is bigger than the root, so it has to become a right child. So from 12 there is no right child, that's why this portion becomes null. So there is a left child, so you have a pointer towards the left child of a 12, that is 10. So this is how you need to implement it. The last data structure we are going to consider is set. What is set? Set can be described as an unordered collection of distinct items. Remember, set will have a distinct items called elements of the set. Then what is multiset? Multiset is also called as BAT. It's an unordered collection of items that are not necessarily distinct. Okay. What are the operations normally we can perform on this? We can perform like searching, adding, deleting an item. All these operations can be performed. So what are the data structure used to perform these operation? Data structure what we normally use to perform these operations are called dictionary. So search for a item, add new item, delete an item can be performed. So data dictionary is a data structure we use to implement set or multiset.